Nelson Reese thought Christmas was the one day nothing bad could happen. He came home early, quietly, without telling anyone, holding a small gift in his hand. The house looked calm, clean, beautiful. But something felt wrong. The air smelled sharp, not like food, not like candles. His body felt weak again, the same weakness he had felt for weeks. Before he could take another step, a hand covered his mouth, pulling him into the dark. A woman whispered close to his ear, "Stay quiet, sir. Please, if you make one sound, you will die tonight." Through a small crack in the door, Nelson saw his wife standing with his brother, laughing softly, holding a green drink, and then he heard the words that broke his life forever. "I doubled the dose this morning. He should be dead by tonight." In that moment, Nelson understood the truth. The danger was not outside. It was inside his own home. And the only person trying to save him was the woman he never noticed. Christmas Day came quietly to the Reese house in Houston, Texas. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, not peaceful. The big house stood tall and clean, lights glowing on the trees outside, music playing low from hidden speakers, everything looking perfect from the outside. Inside, it felt empty, like the house was holding its breath. Nelson Reese drove through the gate earlier than planned. He did not tell anyone. Not his wife, not his brother, not his staff. He wanted 1 hour of calm. 1 hour to sit, breathe, and feel like a normal man, not a billionaire everyone needed something from. His head felt light again, the same strange weakness he had been feeling for weeks. He blamed work, long days, stress, age, anything except the truth. He parked the car, picked up a small gift bag, and walked to the front door. The lights were on. The tree could be seen through the window, wrapped gifts under it, everything looking ready for joy. Nelson smiled a little, thinking Rebecca would laugh and tease him for coming home without warning. He opened the door and stepped inside. The smell stopped him. It was not food. It was not perfume. It was sharp and bitter, like medicine mixed with something clean. Nelson stood still. The house was too quiet. No voices. No laughter. No sound from the kitchen. His body felt weak again. He took 2 slow steps forward. Suddenly, someone rushed at him. A hand covered his mouth hard. Another hand pulled his arm. Nelson tried to shout, but no sound came out. He was dragged into the dark, his back hitting a shelf. A woman whispered close to him, her voice shaking. "Please, sir, do not make a sound, please." Nelson knew the voice. Angela, his maid, the woman who cleaned the house, washed the dishes, and moved quietly through his life. She pushed him into a small storage room and closed the door, leaving only a small space to see through. She put one finger to her lips and held his wrist tight. Footsteps moved across the marble floor outside. Slow steps, calm steps. Not afraid. Angela leaned close and whispered, "If they hear you, you will not leave this house alive." Nelson forced himself to breathe through his nose. His heart felt heavy in his chest. He leaned closer to the small opening in the door. He saw the living room. The Christmas tree stood bright and full. Under it were perfect gifts. Beside the tree stood his wife, Rebecca. She was dressed like she was going out, not like she was resting at home. In her hand was a glass of green juice. Standing close to her was Stanley, Nelson's younger brother. They were smiling. Stanley spoke first, his voice calm, like nothing was wrong. "He is still standing," he said. "How is he still standing?" Rebecca sighed, her voice cold and tired. "I doubled the dose this morning," she said. In his green juice, Nelson felt the floor move under him. His legs shook. Every dizzy morning, every weak step, every time he felt sick at work came back to him. He had blamed himself. He had blamed stress. He had blamed age. Rebecca spoke again. He still went to work, she said. Tonight we finish it. Angela's grip on Nelson's wrist tightened. Her eyes met his. They were full of fear, but also something strong, certainty. If you walk out there, she whispered, you will not live to see tonight. Rebecca turned toward the kitchen. Her shoes clicked on the floor. A drawer opened. A spoon touched glass. Angela pulled Nelson back from the door just as Rebecca passed near the storage room. Nelson held his breath until the sound moved away. Stanley's voice came again. Lower now, he said. Angela has been watching you. Rebecca sighed. Then get rid of her, she said. After tonight. Angela did not move. Her face stayed calm, but Nelson saw pain pass through her eyes for one moment. Then, control. The footsteps moved away. The house became quiet again. Angela waited. She listened. When she was sure they were gone, she opened the door and pulled Nelson into the back hallway used by staff. This is their trap, she whispered. This house is not safe for you. Nelson's mouth felt dry. This is my home, he whispered. Angela shook her head. It is the fastest place for you to die. They moved quietly past the kitchen. On the counter sat the green juice, ready, with a small ribbon tied to the glass like a joke. Nelson looked at it and felt sick. He reached for his phone. No calls, Angela whispered, catching his hand. One call, and they will know where you are. I can call security, Nelson said. I can call the police. Angela looked at him hard. Your wife controls your world, she said. Your brother buys people. I heard names. I saw men come when you were gone. She asked about my family, like she wanted to know who would miss me. Angela reached into her pocket and showed him a small plastic bag with pale powder inside. I took this from the trash, she said. She said it was vitamins, but I watched her measure it. I kept it. Nelson stared at the bag. His life felt like it was breaking in his hands. We have to leave now, Angela said. They slipped out through the side door. The air outside felt thick and warm. Angela pointed to her old car near the fence. Get in, now. Nelson hesitated and looked back at the bright house, at the tree, at the life he thought was real. Rebecca's voice called from inside, sweet and sharp. Nelson, are you home? Angela pushed him toward the car. Nelson understood then. One sound from him could end everything. He got into the car. Angela drove fast, but steady, taking the service road. In the mirror, Nelson saw the house lights turn on. A shadow moved past the window. The gate opened. They drove out. Nelson leaned low in the seat, his chest tight, his mind spinning. Christmas music played on the street as people passed by smiling. Angela drove without speaking. Nelson finally whispered, My life was in that house. Angela answered quietly, No, sir, your life just left it. The car moved deeper into the city, away from the mansion, away from the lie, and behind them, Christmas night was just beginning. And inside the house, Rebecca and Stanley believed their plan was still working. Angela drove through the streets of Houston without turning on the radio. The car made soft sounds as it moved, old sounds, like it had lived many days. Nelson sat low in the seat, his body weak, his mind heavy. Outside, houses passed by with lights, people laughing, children running, the world moving like nothing was wrong. Nelson felt strange watching normal life. A short time ago, he was sitting in offices, signing papers, giving orders. Now he was hiding in the back seat of his maid's car, running from his own wife. His head felt hot. Sweat rolled down his neck. He tried to sit straight, but felt dizzy again. Angela noticed. She spoke without looking at him. Do not fight it, sir, she said. Your body is tired. Nelson swallowed. How long? he asked. "How long has this been happening?" Angela stayed quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Weeks, maybe longer. I started watching when you began sitting down more, when you stopped eating much." Nelson closed his eyes. "I thought I was just getting old," he said. Angela shook her head. "You are not old," she said. "You were being made weak." They turned into a narrow road. Houses were smaller here. Sidewalks were cracked. Dogs barked behind fences. Angela parked behind a small house near an alley. "Get out slowly," she said. "Stay close." Nelson stepped out. His legs felt soft under him. Angela held his arm and helped him inside through the back door. The house was small but clean. A short couch, a table, a small kitchen. A tiny plastic Christmas tree sat on a stand, no gifts under it. The room smelled like soap and cooked food. Angela locked the door, then locked it again. She closed the curtains. "Sit," she said. Nelson sat. The moment he did, his body gave up. Heat rushed through him. His hands shook. He leaned forward, breathing slow. Angela brought water and wiped his face with a cloth. "Why are you helping me?" Nelson whispered. Angela did not answer at first. She kept wiping his face, her hands steady. Then she said, "Because I saw the truth, and because I know what it feels like to have no power." She sat across from him. "My brother died," she said. "A small mistake with medicine. People said it was bad luck. It was not. Someone wanted money. Since then, I watch people. I listen." Nelson felt shame burn inside him. He remembered walking past her, giving short nods, never asking about her life. A knock hit the front door. Nelson froze. Angela lifted one finger. Silence. She moved to the curtain and lifted it just a little. A car sat across the street, engine on. Someone sat inside. Angela lowered the curtain. "I do not know who that is," she whispered. The knock came again, louder. A woman's voice followed. "Angela, are you inside? I saw a strange car." Angela closed her eyes for a second. She walked to the door and opened it a little, the chain still on. Mrs. Harris stood outside with a plate in her hands. She smiled, but her eyes moved around. "I brought food," she said. "You came in late, and that car worried me." Angela took the plate. "Thank you," she said. "It was my cousin. He left." Mrs. Harris leaned closer, trying to see inside. "You look tired," she said. "Everything okay?" Angela nodded. "Just work." Mrs. Harris looked at the street again. "If there is trouble," she said, "I will not protect it." "There is no trouble," Angela said. "Merry Christmas." Mrs. Harris left. Angela shut the door and rested her head against it. Her shoulders shook for a short moment. Then she turned back to Nelson. "We cannot stay long," she said. Before Nelson could speak, another knock came. This one was slow. A man's voice came through the door. "Angela." Nelson's stomach turned. He knew the voice. Captain Brian Cole. Angela's face hardened. "Open the door," the man said. "I am here to help." Angela stayed still. Nelson whispered, "What if he is real?" Angela leaned close. "If he was real," she whispered, "he would not come alone, and he would not speak like your wife owns you." The voice came again. "Nelson, your wife is worried. You are sick. Let me take you to the hospital." Angela shook her head. She pointed to the back door. "Move," she whispered. They slipped out through the back, into the alley, moving between fences and trash bins. Nelson stumbled once. Angela caught him. They reached a small street. A building stood there with a bright cross in the window. Angela knocked. An older man opened the door. His eyes were tired but kind. "Pastor Robert," Angela said, her voice breaking. "Please." The man looked at Nelson and stepped aside. "Come in," he said. Inside, it was quiet and warm. Nelson sat in a chair, breathing slow. They told the pastor everything. He listened without stopping them. "Someone is trying to kill you," the pastor said finally. "Then we move carefully." A nurse named Emily came later. She checked Nelson. She took blood. She looked at the powder Angela saved. "You were poisoned over time," she said. "This could have stopped your heart." Nelson felt cold inside. A heavy knock hit the church door. Captain Cole's voice came again. The pastor opened the door just enough. "Do you have papers?" he asked. The man smiled tight. "Your wife is scared." "Fear is not proof," the pastor said. The man left. Later, Emily returned with results. "It is poison," she said. "The same in his blood." Silence filled the room. Angela spoke softly. "They will move fast when they know he is alive." Nelson looked at his hands. "I have a hidden camera system," he said. "My wife does not know." "Then we get it," the pastor said. Outside, Christmas evening grew darker. Inside, Nelson knew something clear. If he did not act now, there would be no tomorrow. The church stayed quiet as night moved closer. Outside, cars passed, music played in far houses, people laughed, but inside the small room, time felt slow and heavy. Nelson sat on the couch, his back bent, his hands resting on his knees. His body still felt weak, but his mind was awake now. Fear had turned into focus. Pastor Robert stood near the table, thinking. Angela stood by the door, listening to every sound outside. She did not sit, she did not relax. "We do not rush," Pastor Robert said at last. "We move smart." Nelson nodded. "My wife thinks I am dying," he said. "She thinks her plan is working." Angela looked at him. "That is why tonight is dangerous," she said. "When people think they are winning, they make mistakes." A phone buzzed softly. Pastor Robert checked it. It was Nurse Emily. "She will meet us near the hotel," he said. "She has copies of the test results." Nelson took a slow breath. "The charity dinner," he said. "Rebecca said she would finish it tonight. Public place. Many people. Cameras." Pastor Robert nodded. "And that helps us," he said. "Lies die faster in light." They prepared quietly. Pastor Robert brought an old van from behind the church. No signs. No tracking. Angela gave Nelson a jacket and a cap. "Your face is known," she said. "Tonight you are just a tired man." Nelson looked at himself in a small mirror by the door. He barely knew the man looking back. His eyes looked older. His skin looked dull. He thought of the strong man he used to see every day. They left the church slowly. Pastor Robert drove. Angela sat in front, watching the road. Nelson sat in the back, low, quiet. As they drove, Nelson spoke. "I treated you like you were nothing," he said to Angela. "I saw you every day and never really saw you." Angela did not turn. "Fix it with what you do next," she said. They parked a block away from the mansion. The lights still glowed. Music still played inside. From the outside, nothing had changed. "We go in and out," Pastor Robert said. "No talking unless needed." Angela led them through the side gate. She knew the code. The gate opened with a soft sound. Nelson felt sick seeing his home again, the place that almost killed him. They moved through the staff hallway. Voices came from the living room. Rebecca's voice floated down the hall. "He always comes down for dinner," she said. Stanley answered, "Or he is already gone." Angela touched Nelson's arm. "Stay close." They reached Nelson's office. He unlocked it with a key hidden in his shoe. Inside, everything looked the same. His desk, his chair, his wedding photo on the wall. He did not look at the photo. Behind it was the safe. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was the backup drive. A sound came from outside. Footsteps. Angela pulled Nelson behind the curtain by the window. Pastor Robert stayed near the door. The office door opened. Stanley walked in first. Rebecca followed, holding a glass of green juice. Nelson held his breath. Stanley moved fast, opening drawers. "The captain went to the church," he said. "The pastor blocked him." Rebecca's voice turned sharp. "Then Nelson is alive." Stanley stopped. "Then we finish it at the dinner," he said. "Cameras everywhere. We act worried. We say he is confused." Rebecca nodded. "We get him into a hospital bed. No mistakes." She looked around the room. "Cynthia has been acting strange." Stanley laughed. "She is nothing." Nelson felt anger rise, but Angela stayed still, calm, ready. Rebecca and Stanley left the room. Angela counted quietly. 1, 2, 3. "Now," she whispered. They moved fast, back through the hallway, out the side gate, into the van. Pastor Robert drove away, without turning on the lights. They reached the hotel where the charity dinner was being held. The building shone bright. Cars lined the street. People in fine clothes laughed and talked. Nurse Emily waited at a side entrance. She had a small bag and a laptop. She plugged in the drive. Video filled the screen. Rebecca in the kitchen, measuring powder, stirring it into the green drink, Stanley watching. Nelson closed his eyes. "That is it," he said. Emily nodded. "It matches the poison in your blood." Pastor Robert made a call. A federal agent arrived quietly. She watched the video twice. "This is attempted murder," she said. Nelson swallowed. "I want them stopped," he said. "And I want her protected," he pointed at Angela. The agent nodded. Behind the ballroom doors, Rebecca stood on stage, smiling, wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. Angela touched Nelson's arm. "Stay close," she said. Nelson stepped into the room. People went silent one by one. Rebecca's smile froze. She walked toward him. "Nelson," she said, "where have you been?" "You were not scared," Nelson said calmly. "You were angry. I was still alive." The agent stepped forward. "Rebecca Reese, you are under arrest." Stanley tried to move away, but another agent caught him. People raised phones. Cameras flashed. Nelson turned to Angela and took her hand. "She saved my life," he said. "I am alive because she chose to do what was right." Rebecca stared at them as she was led away, her eyes full of hate and fear. The room stayed quiet. Outside, the night air felt cool. Nelson walked to the van and opened the door for Angela. "Come with me," he said. "Not to work, but to live." Angela looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. The van drove away from the lights, from the lies, from the house that almost became a grave. The van moved slowly through the streets of Houston. The city still felt busy, but inside the van, everything felt quiet and heavy. Nelson sat in the back, leaning against the seat. His body was tired, but his mind was clear for the first time in many weeks. Angela sat beside him. She did not speak. Her hands rested on her lap. Pastor Robert drove with both hands on the wheel, his eyes steady on the road. No one celebrated. No one smiled. What had happened was too deep for that. After a while, Nelson spoke in a low voice. "It is over," he said. Pastor Robert answered gently. "The arrest is only the start," he said. "Truth takes time, but it has already begun." They stopped in front of the church again. The lights inside were on. It felt safe, familiar. Inside, Nelson sat on the couch. His body finally relaxed. Nurse Emily came later that night. She checked him again, gave him clean medicine and clear water. "You will get better," she said, "but slowly. Your body needs time." Nelson nodded. "I am alive because of you all," he said. Emily packed her bag. "You stayed alive because someone cared enough to act," she replied. When she left, the room grew quiet again. Nelson looked at Angela. "I want to say something," he said, "but I do not know how." Angela looked at him. "Say it simple," she said. Nelson took a breath. "I failed you," he said. "I saw you every day and never saw you. I trusted money and walls and guards. I did not trust people." Angela listened. Her face stayed calm. "I will fix this," Nelson continued. "Not with words, with action. I will protect you. I will make sure you never feel small again." Angela nodded once. "Do not make promises you cannot keep," she said. "I will keep this one," Nelson replied. The next morning, news filled the city. The story moved fast. A billionaire poisoned by his wife and brother. A maid who saved his life. People talked. Phones rang. Messages came. Nelson did not answer any of them. Federal officers returned later that day. They asked questions. They took statements. Angela told her story clearly, calmly. She did not add extra words. She did not take credit. The officers listened. One of them spoke to Nelson. "Your wife and brother will stand trial," he said. "This will be public." Nelson nodded. "Let it be public," he said. "No hiding." Days passed. Nelson stayed at the church and later in a safe place arranged by the authorities. His strength slowly returned. He could walk without help. He could eat again. Angela stayed nearby. Not as staff, as a person. One evening, Nelson handed her an envelope. "What is this?" Angela asked. "Your choice," Nelson said. "Inside is money, housing help, and a job offer if you want one. Not as a maid. As someone who works with me to protect others." Angela looked at the envelope, but did not open it. "And if I say no?" she asked. "Then you walk free," Nelson said. "With respect." Angela finally opened it. She sat quietly for a long time. "I will not work for you," she said at last. "Not the old way." Nelson nodded. "Good." "I will work with you," Angela continued, "to help people who are ignored, to watch what others miss." Nelson felt something warm rise in his chest. Not pride, not power, but relief. "That is exactly what I hoped you would say," he answered. Weeks later, Nelson stood in front of cameras. He did not wear a suit. He spoke slowly. "I was almost killed by people I trusted," he said. "I survived because someone I ignored chose courage over fear. Her name is Angela." Angela stood beside him. She did not smile. She stood tall. Nelson continued. "From today, my company will change. We will protect workers. We will listen. We will act when something feels wrong." People listened. Later, when the cameras were gone, Nelson and Angela sat outside the church. The sun was setting. Cars passed. Life moved on. Christmas lights were still hanging in some windows. Angela spoke softly. "Sometimes danger comes with smiles," she said. Nelson nodded. "And sometimes help comes from places we never look." They sat in silence for a while. Nelson finally said, "I lost a home, but I found truth." Angela answered, "And I was seen." The city continued around them, loud and busy, but for the first time, both of them felt steady. Not rich, not powerful, just alive. Dear viewers, this story is not just about a rich man and a poor woman. It is about trust, life, and the danger that can hide behind smiling faces. Nelson Reese had money, guards, and a big house. But none of those things saved him when betrayal came from the people closest to him. Angela had no power, no wealth, and no protection, yet she chose courage, truth, and action when it mattered most. This story reminds us that the people we ignore every day may be the ones who will stand for us when everything falls apart. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next emotional story. Share this story with someone who needs to hear this message today. Now tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Who would you trust if you were in Nelson's place? And do you think Angela made the right choice by staying and helping him change his life? Your voice matters, and we are listening.